The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lean Into the Community webinar series, session 8. This is our last session. As businesses are preparing to open again, we thought it would be good to end with a session around how to hire back your staff and or hire new employees. So we have two panelists today that are going to address those two different aspects of it. This is the last of the series, so if you've missed any of the other series or other sessions, you can go to the YouTube link that is in the chat window. There is a handout for today's session as well, so you can see that in the handouts area. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm your host, Wendy Austin. I own my own business, WSI Healthy Digital Solutions, and I joined the Midstate Chamber of Commerce back in February. Did not have a chance to really do a lot of networking, so I was working with Rosanne at that time to do the membership and decided to help her out by creating this webinar series to help other businesses during this time that's really unprecedented. So with that, let me go ahead and introduce our panelists. First, we're going to start with Eddy LeBron. He is from Paychex. Eddy, go ahead, and when you want me to bring up the checklist, just let me know.
Oh, yeah, we're going right into it. Yes, you can go right into the checklist because that's the topic for today. So good afternoon, Midstate Chamber. Eddy LeBron, Paychex representative. I've been with Paychex for a little over, well, actually, August will be my 4th year. And with this topic, I also did the topic with Wendy for the unemployment discussion. I think that was class 2. First, Wendy, thank you very much. You've been great during all this. I wish and let's not say wish, I hope we can continue to do more of these. And to everybody who's on as well, thank you very much for tuning in. So today we are going to discuss a return to work checklist. What you should do, consider when recalling employees from a furlough or temporary layoff or rehiring after a termination, especially during this COVID-19. Now, I cannot give specifics to any questions that come in. I cannot give specifics answers on how to handle certain things in the HR world. I will do my best to answer all questions, but some of them might be better for us to talk after with a true HR professional who is certified, especially during this COVID-19 situation that's going on. So let's dive into it. First tab, this is a checklist that is in the handouts, so everybody has access to this. I will also be sending an email with this checklist out as well, so you guys will probably see it more than once. What date should employees be recalled or rehired? This is a big one. Employers received loans under the CARES Act and seeking loan forgiveness for payroll costs must recall or rehire no later than June 30th, 2020 to receive the unreduced loan forgiveness for layoffs according to the April 26 rehires. Must occur more quickly for unreduced loan forgiveness for May and June, since loan forgiveness is reduced. Full-time employees, reduction in wages exceeding 75%. We're going to go down with this list instead of over. If you have employees under obligations under collective bargaining agreement, CBA, check rehire and recall language, including agreed upon factors in order to bring employees back. Most changes will need to be negotiated with the union. If employees were terminated and signed a separation agreement, keyword, signed a separation agreement. Check the language of the agreement, and rehire require amendment for separation agreement. Issue letter offering return to work. Will employees be recalled / rehired into the same position if organizational structure has changed, determine skills of employee and appropriate position to offer? Confirm pay rate for returning employees. Employers receiving loans available to employers under the CARES Act and seeking loan forgiveness for payroll costs have certain obligations to restore and maintain compensation and benefit levels. Wendy, going up to the top, would drug tests be conducted? Depending on the state law, consult your Paychex HR professional. If you are not with Paychex, I understand people on this call might be with other providers or in-house. Do not offer a drug test unless you check the state law. That is something that can close your doors up and you will get a hefty fine for that. Are there state or local paid sick leave laws that require prior accruals to be reinstated? Depends on the state and local law. Also want to consult a HR professional. It doesn't have to be Paychex, could be anybody. If you have an attorney hands-on in the business or part of the business or from the family that's an attorney, these are things that you're going to want to ask and get a reliable answer for. Check internal policies on hiring to determine any reinstatement of accrued PTO or vacation time. Some businesses will have, you work a certain amount of days, certain amount of hours, and you start earning time. According to your handbook and your policies in place in the business, you need to rehire or reinstate any accrued PTO or vacation time. Are there state or local paid family leave laws under which contributions must be resumed? Depending on the state and local law. Again, you want to consult with an HR professional on this. Does any new direct deposit authorization forms need to be completed? If you're with a payroll provider, someone along the lines of Paychex, let's say we deactivate your account, but we don't remove your account. So once we get the thumbs up to reactivate it, congratulations, business is back up and running. All direct deposit information the same. Some people might have changed banks. Some people might have gone from payroll live checks to be printed to actually go to direct deposits. You want to make sure all that direct deposit information has not changed. More or less just checking off the box to make sure your employees are covered when they get back to work. Any new forms of W-4. This has opened up a box for a lot of people. A lot of people are doing a lot of thinking and, I don't want to claim max anymore. Maybe I'll claim one right now and an extra $10 just to keep a little bit more money in my pocket and not owe at the end of the year. So, always offer your employees the chance to come back, update the direct deposit if needed, and also update their state and federal W-4 forms. Ensure new hire employee documents, handbook, any agreements. We're going to go down to second page, Wendy. Does the employee need an updated or new form I-9? If employee was furloughed, updating is not required. If employee was terminated and the employee is rehired within 3 years of the original hire date, obviously discussing during COVID that 3 years is met, Section 3 of the Form I-9 must be completed to indicate the rehire. Check documentation originally shown. They gave a driver's license, make sure it's not expired. If they gave a passport, make sure it's not expired. You want to make sure everything is complete, certified, and valid. Prior work authorization documents. That's from the I-9, list A and C. Making sure nothing's expired and up to date. New work authorization documents in Section 3 need to be discussed as well. If employee is being rehired 3 years after original hire date, doesn't apply here, so we're going to skip that. That is good to know, though, if you are bringing somebody back during after a 3-year period of relief from work. The employee elect COBRA, state continuation or other. I got to move screens here. Mine's choppy. Or other conversion rights. Check with the TPA. Ensure and consult your benefits plan to determine any waiting period requirement for health and other benefits. Check with the TPA /insurer to identify any other issues resulting from a break in service. Determine status of health plans, cafeteria plans, any other fringe benefits such as vision and dental, key for furloughs because most furloughs, the insurance stays active. So making sure that the health plans are back in place, any documents that need to be signed, agreements, plans, policies, you need to make sure all employees are aware and everything is caught up. Break in service for 30 days within the same calendar year. Break in service for 30 days within the calendar year for any FSA elections. Consider potential special enrollment rights, and qualified life event election changes. These are typically in the 30-day periods. Check TPA, insurer, and agents we've discussed. You want to evaluate the plan eligibility to see if anything changes. Going up to the top, any implications in 401ks and any pension plans. I know in the industry right now, I've been getting, numerous phone calls from, whether it's friends of the family or, speaking to prospect clients, and they're telling me, I'm forced to work from home right now. I had a 5% reduction in my salary, and I just got notified that my 401k is no longer being matched during this work from home COVID-19 situation. So these companies now bringing their employees back in, you need to reinstate that match. So making sure that is covered. Check plan breaks and service rules for eligibility, any benefit accruals or any vesting, 501 hours of service in a 12-month period. Evaluate the plan and any eligible changes. Evaluate executive compensation and severance arrangements. Be aware of potential limitations on accounts of deferred compensation under the CARES Act provisions. Employers should take advantage of loans under the Exchange Stabilization Fund authorized by the CARES Act, which is separate from the Paychex Protection Program. A lot of people think it's all one thing. It's not. It is separate. This also ties in line with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which is not executive compensation restrictions. Are subject to restrictions on executive compensations. Evaluate possible
Sorry, Eddie, did we lose you? Okay, it looks like we might have lost Eddie. Just a second. All right, while we're waiting for Eddie to come back on the line, if you have any questions, you can always put them into the question box, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute your mic if you feel like it's harder to type up a question. All right, Eddie, are you back? No, we can't hear you, Eddie. Sorry. All right, while we're waiting for Eddie to get back on the line, so I wanted to actually, let's pivot to Wanda and we'll come back to the checklist for a moment. So Wanda comes from the Workforce Alliance, and we started this series of webinars with a survey, and part of that survey had people asking around whether or not you needed to have some help from the Workforce Alliance to look at alternative ways of gaining employees and or talking about the employees when you bring them back in from a reopening perspective. So I would like to introduce Wanda.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Wanda.
Hello?
Go ahead. We
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you hear us?
Thank you, Wendy, for having me, and thank you, Rosanne, as well, for having me as a guest panelist today. And as Wendy mentioned, at the onset of the COVID-19, towards the latter part of March, the Workforce Alliance thought it was imperative for us to conduct a survey just to get a pulse initially on individuals who were affected in terms of either being laid off or furloughed, or trying to understand better an employer what their needs might be when they have the opportunity to hire back. And so we partnered with the different chambers throughout the South Central region and pose those questions along with other questions. But before I get into some of the findings of that survey, I just want to talk a little bit about Workforce Alliance is in the context of the workforce investment boards across the state of Connecticut, as well as the role that I have in the workforce development system as a business services coordinator. Workforce Alliance, for most of you who may know or may not know, is one of the 5 workforce investment boards across the state of Connecticut, and it's located in the South Central region. And Bill Villano is the president and CEO of Workforce Alliance. And we govern 30 towns within the South Central region, mainly in the Middlesex and the New Haven counties. And some of the bordering towns that we govern include Orange and Woodbridge and Bethany, Wallingford, Meriden, Cromwell, East Haddam. And then we look at those towns from the shoreline from Milford up through Osage Brook. We're a board, along with the other boards across the state, we're accountable for federal and state legislation, as well as grants across the state that we receive at a federal or a state level. Some of the programs and the funding that we are accountable for as a workforce investment board include what is called the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is affectionately known as WIOA. And within this act, there's 2 populations, or there's several, but the main populations include dislocated workers, where those are individuals that are collecting unemployment now. So my understanding, there's over 400,000 individuals in the state of Connecticut right now that have applied for unemployment insurance. And so that's one of the populations. And then also there's the low-income adults, and those are individuals who are either underemployed or long-term unemployed, and as a result are meeting the poverty threshold within the state of Connecticut. And these are populations that are authorized to receive intensive services under what is called the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Another population that we service is the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, affectionately known as TANF. And these are individuals who are mandated and are on cash assistance. And we also manage special grants and programs. The Health Care Advancement Program, which we're going into, I believe, our 4th year. It was actually extended, and this is really focused at those entry-level careers within healthcare, whether it be CNA or individuals who are looking to pursue pharmacy tech. And so a number of different types of occupations that fall within this particular program if you meet the eligibility requirements. We also manage a grant called the IT Express program, and that's really focused on a population between 18 to 29 years of age, where they can get certain certifications within IT. And this year, we also received funding for what is called our Scale Up program, which is a manufacturing apprenticeship initiative, and we have done some customized training. The reason why I mentioned these populations is to get back to the question that Wendy initially posed. So if you're in a situation as an employer that are looking to rehire or looking for different candidate pipelines, we have access to these potential these pipelines. we actually operationalize all of our services, or they're executed and delivered through the American Job Centers within our region, which is considered the South Central region. So we have the two fully functioning American Job Centers in our region. One's in Meriden on 87 West Main Street, and the other one is in New Haven, which is at 560 L.T. Grosso Boulevard. And we also have smaller satellite offices in Middletown and in Hamden. And on an annualized basis, believe it or not, we come in contact with over 16,000 individuals who are in the workforce looking for the different services. So if you're like classified what is called eligible for what is called under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, the way you access those services is through what is called a job opportunity event, where you can come in and you can understand what our active ongoing postings are and can get matched immediately to a job opportunity. Or if you need special training, then there's opportunities to do that. One of the initiatives that was announced last week is called Skill Up Connecticut, which is a program that allows those individuals that have been affected in terms of being laid off to skill up through accessing over thousands of courses for certification. And this program is being administered throughout the state of Connecticut through the Workforce Investment Board. So if you were to go on the Workforce Alliance website, you would see the tab for that, and you can access that. The way employers can really capitalize on this Skill Up program is working through Workforce Alliance Business Services team by identifying those certifications that are relevant to your industry. And we can direct your job seekers to those different tracks so that they can be competitive in your application process. Prior to COVID-19, Workforce Alliance Business Service main programs and products that we offer to employers included, one, acting as an extension of your human resources department, an alternative way to hire. Because we have access to these different populations, we could assist with recruitment events, whether those recruitment events was at one of our locations or at your location or in a community resource venue, such as a library or a town hall. We've hosted many different types of recruitment events, from same-day hiring events to informational sessions. The business services team is organized across industry sectors. And so we have our manufacturing, engineering, and bioscience, and that's led by Steve Johnson, who is the business services specialist for that particular program. And he also is accountable for the Skill Up manufacturing program that some of you may be aware of, which is a 5-week program. We also have our healthcare, social, and educational services industry grouping, and that's led by Vicki Gelpy, who is currently working very closely with Yale University as well as Yale New Haven Hospital, where we've created what is called a essential job hiring page, and we are screening candidates to make referrals to these entities. She's also working very closely with the CVS, and she also has a critical role that she plays in our healthcare careers advancement project. The next sector we have is finance, insurance, real estate, trades, and information technology, and that's headed up by Paul Gagney. Paul Gagney works very closely with our IT Express program, whereby he's skilling up individuals within that, and we're actually seeing a number of on-the-job training contracts. This is another product that we offer for individuals that are being hired by employers, which is a wage reimbursement program whereby an employer can receive 50% of that person's salary up to a period of 6 months. And then last but not least, we have there's transportation, distribution, and logistics, and customer service that transcends both retail and hospitality sector, and that's led by Juliana Castillo. And Juliana has been working very, very closely with the Amazons. We've had very successful hiring initiatives with over this past year. And for those of you who are not aware, they're looking to open up another site in Wallingford. She's working very closely with that launch. It's going to look a little different than the ones we've had in the past, but we're hoping to get the same type of volume that we've received in the past. To that end, during the month of June, business services will be offering virtual recruitment events for our employers through a series of job clubs. And those are for individuals that want to learn about your hiring process, your safety measures in the context of COVID-19, as well as you are given an opportunity to really provide details about your organization and what makes a candidate, attractive during this time frame as well. So the way, you can connect with us, my information, I believe, is listed on the side in terms of, business services, my phone number, the website. And if you're interested in being a part of our virtual job clubs in terms of getting the word out about your hiring needs as well as your postings, certainly give me a phone call and we can coordinate a time where you can participate in that. If you're interested in helping us understand what relevant learning tracks would be appropriate for a candidate to skill up on as a part of that Skill Up Connecticut program, I'll be more than happy to coordinate that on your behalf. If you have any essential jobs out there that you would like posted on that webpage that I mentioned, certainly reach out either to me or to one of the individuals that I shared with your names. But the bigger message is that if you're not getting the rehires back within your organization, these are all viable populations that we come in contact with now more than ever. So there is pipelines that we're able to create. I'm going to pause at that point and respond to any questions that you may have.
Yeah, and there is a comment that someone said, don't forget Stratford. I believe it was one of your programs that you were referring to.
Yes, Stratford is I believe they might be referring to an Amazon location. That's really not considered our territory because that's not within our 30 regions, but we do service if an employer have a need in Stratford, we're more than happy to assist there as well.
Okay, great. And then I have a raised hand. I'm going to unmute Sonia's mic. So Sonia, you'll be able to ask your question directly.
Hi, thank you. This could be a one-off conversation, but my question is for an employee who's 70 or older, who gets a call back from their employer, who is in that category of at risk for COVID, and has a letter from their doctors stating such, how can they convey to Department of Labor and answer the question that they did receive a call back? Yes. However, how do they relay to DOL that they're not able and they don't want to go back to work, basically?
Yeah, that's a good question. Eddy, I think that one might go to you.
Regarding a layoff for an employee who is declining going to work because they are sick, if I heard that correctly?
Nope. It's they're furloughed, so work stoppage. They work in a mall, and
Yep.
they're over 70. And if they get a call back to say, hey, you know, come back to work, how can they want to tell the truth on the unemployment, saying, yes, I received a call back, but how do they notify DOL that they don't want to go back because they're within that risk factor?
That's gonna, a lot of people get nervous about that because you're furloughed, right?
Correct.
But
Yes.
this all takes place under the CARES Act, so that's the protection right there. Unfortunately, they are going to have to discuss that with the Department of Labor, and there's a whole team that's considered like the CARES Act team, and they're the people that are going to get the phone call. And basically, that's when that whole CARES Act, I believe it's like $600. That's what that covers. If they are furloughed, I'm not positive how the Department of Labor handles that, but they have every right to abide by the CARES Act. So they have to be in touch with the CARES Act department so that they can, go through this, obviously.
And is that department in existence right now?
Correct.
Okay, so I could have that person reach out.
Yeah, it's the Department of Labor. There's just a team of people that are, taking the calls for all the CARES Act, questions. So this right here will get routed to, oh yeah, let me get you to, John, who's, part of the CARES Act team, and then they'll direct them how they go about this.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Thank you, Sonia. I know, Rosanne, you had a question or a comment to make. Would you like to make that now before we get back to Eddy's presentation on the rest of the checklist?
Sure. And I'm not taking away Wanda's thunder there, but we here at the Midstate Chamber have worked closely with our friends at the Workforce Alliance for many, many years, and have the privilege of knowing them and their services very well. But and if I missed it, please forgive me. But one very important piece to note is all of the services of Workforce Alliance are free. There is no cost to businesses seeking skilled employees or to employees or job seekers looking for work. That's it.
Roseanne, thank you so much for that very, very important cost, because I was remiss in not mentioning that, which is incredibly important, because I implore employers to take advantage of it, because these are your taxpayer dollars. And so what better use than to partner with us on different openings that can yield a cost-effective hire. So thank you, Roseanne, for saying that.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to go back to the checklist that Eddy was going through. I think we just had these last two items on the checklist to talk about.
Literally, I did finish, but Wendy texted and said I can't hear you. So the determine an employee's eligibility for the leaves of absence, the paid or unpaid, under the Family's First Coronavirus Response Act, following the state law and company policies. Consider whether to provide employees with safety equipment, such as masks and gloves. Checklist complete. Bottom line, as you bring employees back to work, as some businesses are completely shut down and need to start from scratch coming back. Some businesses are, they're operational right now, but with a limited staff. Regardless of that, handbooks need to be updated. HR information needs to be at employees' fingertips at this time. Right now, business owners need to protect themselves as the business, but more importantly, you need to protect your employees, because if your employees are uncomfortable at work with what's going on, if they are sick or they're at risk or any type of stress or anxiety that you can pull away from this situation, bringing your employees back to work, that's what you're here for. I have business owners right now that are taking every employee back when they're allowed to open, and Right now, what they're doing is they're doing what's called one-on-ones. Obviously, we're all networkers. We know what one-on-ones are. But you imagine getting a phone call from a business owner that you work for and them calling to do a one-on-one check-in with the employee before they come back to work, to make them aware of, A, this checklist, B, this is what's going to be going on in the workplace. I want you to be aware of this. We want you to be comfortable, number one. All that information is what these employees need. They need it now more than ever. And at the end of the day, if your employees are safe, they're protected, and they're calm, then your business is going to run itself.
All right, thank you. Now, again, if you have any questions, or if you, like Sonia, if you want to raise your hand, I'll unmute your mic and you can ask a question of either of the panelists. At this point, I'd like to, Wanda and I were talking a little bit ahead of time, and, a lot of these rules are going to change the way that the businesses are able to open up, right? So we were talking about manufacturers and how they may have to actually add more shifts because they can't have as many people in a single location to actually do the work and everything. So that gives, a little bit more pressure on the business to ensure safety of the employees, as well as potentially even needing to hire above and beyond what they had before. So I think, to Eddy's point, the updating of the employee handbook with these new rules and regulations, it's very key to keep in step with what the government is putting out in terms of how we're going to do this reopening, the phased approach, what still is going to be restrictions for businesses, and then turning that into how do you, convey that communication to employees as well as the public.
Correct. And to piggyback off that, employees have the right to tell a business owner, I don't feel comfortable coming back to work just yet. They have the right to say that. Business owners need to know how to handle that. Giving the employee the option to continue to stay work from home, totally fine if that employee is capable of working from home. So if they are capable of working from home, all is well, right? You would assume, but it's not. You need to make sure you have a work from home policy in place for your employees as well. So it's twofold, making sure the policies are in place at the building, the workplace environment, making sure there's a policy in place for the employee, even if they're at their own house.
All right, great. It looks like Sylvia is saying the Department of Labor already has answers in the Q&A, so thank you for that, Sylvia. People can use the Department of Labor Q&A as a resource, and I think what I'll do is, along with the handout, I'll try to find that link and send that out to everyone. All right, with that, I don't see any other raised hands or any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Rosanne for ending comments.
Thank you, Wendy, and thanks again to our panelists today, Eddy and from Paychex, and Wanda from Workforce Alliance. Great job, great information. A reminder that Wendy Austin has put all of the recordings from all of these sessions out on YouTube, and we do have a link on the Chamber's resource page. If you go to midstatechamber.com, we have a COVID business resource page prominent on our homepage that you can link out to. So one page has a lot of really valuable and essential resources for all of you on a variety of topics, whether it be state, local, federal. And then there's a sub-page where we have webinars. So we have the recordings for these sessions and some of the other ones that we have access to or have provided recently. Just a couple of things. We are doing some new and exciting things here at the Midstate Chamber to promote our members, and that includes a segment called It's a Beautiful Day in the Chamberhood, and kind of sing the Mr. Rogers theme song when you say that. But We've got 2 under our belt. We're going out to different businesses and promoting them, kind of taking you behind the scenes. Our first 2 sessions have received over 1,000 views of the video, so we're excited about that. This afternoon, I plan to visit Thompson Chocolate, and on Friday, we'll be at Chic Designs in Cheshire. But I also wanted to fill you in on something that appeared in my inbox today. We have, this is for, while Meriden, where our office is located, is in the 5th Congressional District. Many of our members are located in the 3rd District, which does include Wallingford and Hamden, and a variety of other towns and cities. Thursday at 5:30 p.m., Senator Murphy and Congresswoman DeLauro will be holding a town hall phone call with residents and businesses in this area. So we will be putting this actually on our Facebook page. So if you just look us up on Facebook, you'll find the link there, and continue to check our page for updates. And in closing, you know, just 2 last final points. We encourage and invite any business in the area to join the Midstate Chamber. We are here. We work tirelessly for our members all the time, not just during crises like this, but it is our job to be the credible and trustworthy source of information for our businesses. And we also certainly provide a lot of other valuable information, networking, great different ways to promote your business on different levels. And I will close in saying just a big thank you again to Wendy Austin for putting this series together. We do look forward to working together with you again in the future, but you have really done a fabulous job with this, and we are really grateful, Wendy, for you, and that's how I'll close. Thanks again, everybody.
All right, thank you so much, Rosanne. You know, I just going back to the question that was posed earlier around employees refusing to come back or not wanting to come back. You know, this is Sylvia gave me the link for the Department of Labor's Q&A. It's the 3rd question on the list that Governor Lamont addressed. So, you know, I will send out the link, but apparently this is a huge issue, especially for retail employees. So I will make sure that that link, along with the Midstate Chamber of Commerce resource page, as well as the return workforce checklist, is sent out to everyone. So if there's no other questions or raised hands, I will say thank you again to the panelists for joining us today. It was a great discussion, and have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, thank you.